Hello. Thanks, Ryan, for the introduction. And thanks, everyone, for coming to the talk. I'll be talking about what we have done in the past year. And I'm Pangting. You can feel free to call me Ben if you find it hard to pronounce, that's fine. I'm the CTO of Jingo, and we are doing some researches about being a solver and how to run in an intent ecosystem. So today's talk will be mainly about what our everyday attacks are and what we see in the future for intent. And this is our PO app. You can scan and claim the PO app. And we have a series of activities, and we have a booth here, so make sure to reach out to us if you are interested in everything. So we are Portus, and our company name is Jingo, and we start up from building an exchange, and then we start to build DeFi's like Fruit Combo, Protocol Link, start from 2018. But in the whole process, we found out the potential of what can intent solver system do in the future. So we started to run our solver on CloudSwap in production since January 2024. And we already settled over $8.9 billion, executed over 2.8 million DEX swaps. And we are one of the first solver to support all the 4 chains on CloudSwap. And now we have the highest settled batches in the past 30 days. It's continuously growing, but yeah, we are one of the most active player in the solver system. And besides the intent swap system, we also done some experiment with intent bridge system. But if you are interested in that, you can come to the booth and we can talk about it more. So what does solver exactly solves in this ecosystem, or what do we see as we think that it has more potential in the future? I think everyone is familiar with this name, which is liquidity fragmentation, because when we have different kinds of services, different kinds of assets, it makes tokens, it's not just tokens anymore. All kinds of liquidity have different kinds of way to match them that. So just like we start from building an exchange and continuing to DeFi's, the blockchain trading history is also changing. Just like when we have Ethereum, we have programmable contracts, then we have different kinds of decentralized exchange, which makes all kinds of assets start to grow. And by far, we have different kinds of liquidities to be integrated, and then we have aggregators to handle all kinds of complex executions. But we can do more. About the liquidity management models, some things we are familiar to is like order book, like AMMs, I believe everybody knows it. And another thing is like RFQs, which stands for request for quotes services. They are quote-driven and often run by some professional market makers. And they provide a very competitive price, but they are more restricted to be leveraged. So we can say that normal users cannot be accessed so directly. And what about other assets? They can be stored in protocol, they can be stored in Lido. So there are different ways to leverage these values when we need to solve other problems. So about the asset model suitability, every assets have different volatility and depth. So they have different models to use them. And also some major assets like ETH itself or like WBTC or some stable coins, they are also frequently being used by as a counterparty to most assets, which also separate their own values in different pools of DEXs. And the last one, specific use cases, just like when we are, I think the most frequent case is like LP tokens. Because when we store our tokens into a liquid pool, and then we can get LP tokens. Those LP tokens do have their own value, but they can be accessed in a different way. So that's something that we can say that if we have a better way to leverage them, then we can partially solve the problem of liquidity fragmentation. And the last one, so many chains, so many L2s. I think the L2s will just grow more and more. So that's something that every value can be placed in different places and not being solved naturally. Yeah. So all these fragmentation really blocks how the service can be developed and how users know how to use them and how they can manage their portfolio. And here comes the intent-based system. Aggregators do solve some problems to simplify the whole trading process, but they are centralized. And on the other hand, intent-based system, users just need to express their goals. They don't have to do the execution. We will do for them. And we are trying to be decentralized. Yeah, that will be done someday, but we are still working on it right now. So what exactly do solvers do for you, or what are we good at? So the first part is obvious that we have good quoting powers, and it comes from two different aspects. One is the diversity of liquidity integration. We need to support all kinds of liquidities and for all kinds of assets. Why? That's obvious, because everything needs to be in our toolbox to give better solution. And these kinds of liquidities doesn't mean that only DEXs, though they have different interfaces, they have different ways to use it. And we also leverage some RFQs and also some like protocols that involve different kinds of functions. And we support over 80 protocols across 4 chains right now. And another thing is the liquidity utilization ability, which means the routing. We can optimize the routing based on the orders we are processing. We can separate the orders into several orders to find the best way for each one. And we can decide whether to execute this strategy or not based on the risk. And on the other hand, we can also combine orders, because for some RFQs, they require to have a minimum amount to give a better price. So in that case, we can combine the orders to build up the execution, and also we can have a better performance on how do we handle the gas efficiency. And also, since we do the execution instead of the users, so we can continuously optimize until the last second, till we actually settle the transaction on chain. So that's something we can do, but others might not. And since we do the execution instead of user, so users don't need to have their capital at first place. Let's say, as long as when we are executing the order, then they have the money on them, then this execution can be done. And another thing is that they don't need to handle with the gas fees. We will handle it for them. And the last one, I won't say it's the most important one, but it's more important than we have imagined at first place. It's the risk management. Because the market always moves, right? So if you have experience on doing trades, you know that when you get a price, it doesn't mean that you will get the actual amount at the end. So this is something that solvers need to work on to mitigate the risk from market fluctuations, including the asset price and also the gas price at the same time. So let me trade for you. Okay, let's get a very simple example, like how to buy Pendle, just an example. When users want to buy a certain token, they often you can do some research and find the best price on the market, or you can go straight to the most familiar DEX you use. And then you take out your ETH and go to DEX and buy Pendle. That's a very normal process. But how do we do that? If you use intent system, you choose your own asset that you want to use, and then we will do the price discovery for you. And when we found the price, we can say that when you want to buy Pendle, you can swap your USDC to ETH and then ETH to Pendle. That's something you can do, but we will do it for you because we have lots of different kinds of liquidities to use. Like you can swap your USDC to ETH on Bebop, which is a close partner of us also, and use this RFQ to perform the swap, and then swap your ETH to Pendle on Balancer. And this ends up with a better price than you just go straight to some DEXs. So this is an actual settlement happens on Ethereum, which is handled by us. It's a buying order. But this case is really simple because there's only one order, right? So when it comes to a large amount of orders to be processed at the same time, the whole routing can be very complex. And this is something that we do every day. And hope that makes you think that we are better on this, okay? And the next one, after the quoting power, then we come to the risk part. Because I believe that if you use a DEX, you know what is slippage. It means that when you get the price, it doesn't mean that you get the amount at the final execution. And those slippage is caused by the market movements. And it may also cause some failed transaction if the amount exceeds the threshold you have settled. So these are the points that solver cares more than aggregators, because we are the one to do the execution. So when we propose a quote based on the order, then we guarantee to process the whole amount when the transaction is actually settled on the blockchain. So solver takes care of the risk. Solver takes care of the risk and cover the user's loss that caused by the market movements. And another thing is that since we do the execution, we have the ability to interact with some MEV services, so no more transaction failures will be caused by the slippage on the user's perspective. So if the transaction cannot be processed, then user's order will just return back to the order pool and then wait for the next round. It provides better user experience, and another thing more important is it provides a better system robustness. If the swapping system is integrated with by a product, then we can guarantee that your maybe a content system can actually process successfully instead of just reverting a transaction. Okay, so how is the risk model if it is so important? So we try to simplify the question since we have the slippage and also the failing transaction need to be handled. And we found out that slippage is really highly correlated to reverse. Although they have different reasons sometimes, but it's a strong positive. So we can try to solve the reverse transactions and try to monitor that instead of doing everything. And one of the reasons, obvious, it would be the price change, which causes the slippage. And another thing is the quote expiration. And the quote expiration is mainly being caused to some RFQ interaction to be failed, because RFQ often have their own restrictions that you need to settle your quotes within a certain time. Another reason are some smelly tokens. That's something we need to deal with case by case. It's annoying, but there's nothing we can do, just do it ourselves. Yeah. So after we know the reasons, so we are trying to decide some factors that can be modeled to solve the issue. And one of it is that I think we can agree that when the network is busier, it makes more possible to the price change. So gas price is something that we can monitor. Higher gas price means a busier network. And another thing is that with more interactions, when we are trying to do a better routing, it might have more interaction to different pools, but it also increases the risk that longer path and more hops will cause a higher risk of failure. Another thing is the order amount. If we process a lot of orders at the same time, maybe we can have better performance on gas efficiency, but it also increases the risk. And block settlement latency, that will be something that I just mentioned about the RFQ restrictions, and also if we settle in a longer period of time, then the market state might be different from the beginning. And the last one, if we cannot think of any more that would be the root cause, we can consider on some results like revert monitor. We can monitor how our solvers doing right now. If a lot of solver is already reverting their transaction, then there might be some systematic problems right now. And token-based reverse. Token often reverse in a bunch together. So this will be something that we can consider if we need to do aggressive quoting or just more preserved quoting at the moment. And after being able to model these factors into our strategy, we can have a better revert rate comparing to the market right now. So let solver take care of these for you. You don't have to concern about what kind of risk need to be managed. We can do all of this for you, including the asset selection, price discovery, the market fluctuation, and gas fees, and also the last part. Remember I said there are so many L2s, so many chains. All of these can be quite different on different chains. So these settlements can be decided by us. We'll handle it for you. Okay. So what will be the next step? After we have I hope it's robust system for every solvers to do the trades for users, we can start to think about how can we start off to give a unified experience across different chains, which means the cross-chain swaps. And this is a phrase that I like very much from the Open Intents framework, which is intents for everyone and with everyone, which means that everyone should be able to express their intents of what they want to do, and then other people that are being able to solve this problem, which is solver, know how to understand the thing that user wants. So it comes up with standardization and something else I will mention later. And for the intent standardization, the intent stack is basically about the intent flow, which is how orders are being created and handled. And the other thing is the settlement mechanism, is the order being processed into solutions and actually happens on chain. So ERC 7683 defines the interface about intent creation, execution, and settlement, which is a very good start and already being used in some intent bridges protocols. Another thing is the Open Intents framework pushed this even further. It proposed a modularized solver implementation and also the settlement smart contracts, which are two of the most important parts to settle all these things onto a intent ecosystem. And besides the intent standardization, there's another thing about liquidity, because solvers need to deal with all kinds of liquidity every day. And this will be a really redundant work between every solvers, including like every liquidity have their own design on indexing, encoding, and how to simulate every transaction if they will be successfully processed and what will be the state after processing this request. And there's another project named ETHTaipei. They are a liquidity indexer. If you are interested in these kinds of questions about liquidity standardization, be sure you can take a look at this project. It's quite neat and yeah. So after the standardization, remember I just said, let's talk about later, it will be the collaboration. Because with everyone for everyone means that we need to decentralize everything, and standardization is a very important part. But the next one is how do we actually have these much different roles different solvers to do these works. So we need to collaborate instead of just competing with each other. The solver competition is quite straightforward to select the solution. And the consensus on intent system is basically about the solution selections, because we have all kinds of orders and we need to choose an answer to it. But the current selection method is mostly like one solver takes all. So every solver needs to be the toughest one. Instead of, you can still give some solutions, partial solutions, and then being combined together. And those competition is often driven by surplus maximization and first comes, first serve. So in this case, the challenge of current model will be that everyone needs to collect all the answers together instead of cooperating with other people. And this causes a lack of differentiation. And sometimes some solvers, they have their own liquidity source that cannot be accessed by others. Then in this case, if some of the order cannot be processed by these solvers, then these orders will be put aside and cause their execution to be delayed. This is also a problem that we need to solve in some cases. And combination of these two, we can see that scalability issues comes up. The solvers need to propose a very powerful single strategy instead of cooperating. So it's something we need to deal with in the future. So I believe that everyone sitting here believes in decentralized. Just like DEXs decentralized where the liquidity lives, solver will be the one to decentralize how the prices are formed, which are also critical for the value, where the values come from. And centralization initiates the scalability improvements, which makes the decentralization even possible. And also, there's another case that maybe we can, just like when I want to trade, I can go to aggregators and do the trading, but I can also go to DEXs instead of go to aggregators. And this standardization makes it possible to create a solver-to-table service, which means that services or users can go straight to the solver if they want. And this is something we're also working on, and if you are interested, be sure to come to the booth and let's talk. And the last one, it will be something that we need to think about is a new model of solution selections instead of just one solution each batch right now. The final goal is to incentivize the solver's specialization, since that we need to have different diversity of solvers solving different problems. If we continuing expand our scenarios from a single chain to multiple chains to cross chains. So after we've done everything above, we are finally being able to solve the fragmentation of liquidity. Then it will be an important layer to support every protocol as the value layer. Okay, thank you for coming, and hope everyone enjoyed the talk, enjoy the event. And we are continuing to explore the future of crypto, and wish everyone have a good time. And the last one, we're hiring. So if you are interested in the topic I just mentioned, or you already have some thoughts, be sure to come to our booth. We have a series of activities to make you familiar with this, how everything works. And yeah, that'll be it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pangting. Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay. Okay.
Hi, Ben.
Hi.
Just curious, if you solve intents from DEXs, how do you guys prevent from MEV? This is my first question. And the second one is, do you guys do hedge? until your liquidity being settled on the settlement network?
Yeah, good question. For the first one, how do we prevent from MEV? I assume there are two parts can mitigate the effect of MEV. One is that we use MEV service to settle our transactions on Ethereum, and when we do these transactions, we do them in batches. So if anyone wants to do the MEV like attacks on our solutions, they need to deal with multiple orders instead of just one. So that will make it more harder. But the main solution, I think, at the moment will be using an MEV service on Ethereum. Yeah. And the second one, do we do hedge? We don't do hedge right now, but because that's something that we need to preserve the value back to the user. So we're not doing currently.
Okay, thank you, Pangting, for bringing such an insightful presentation to us.
Thank you.
For the next talk.